Welcome to the show, man. You know what it is. Some major going on 2023. Flex your vote. Hey, it's time
Get
to
out.
vote. Know your candidates. Right now, I got some major going on. Miss Meredith Smith. She's a candidate for Commonwealth Attorney, Brunswick County. Hey, we don't know her, but we're gonna get to know her today on Flexin with Dex. Hey, Meredith, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Glad
Look,
to be here.
yeah. So tell us a little about. Wait, you from Brunswick County?
I'm from Brunswick County,
Tell us a little
born and
about you.
raised.
Okay.
Both sides of the family, Brunswick all the way back. I went to Brunswick Academy, went to Virginia Tech, went to law school in Florida,
Okay, Hokey.
came back,
Okay.
came back and went straight into prosecution in Mecklenburg.
Okay.
Prosecuted there for 2.5 years, 2012 to mid 2014. Opened my own office here in Lawrenceville.
Okay.
A month after I left Mecklenburg, and I've been here ever since. This is year 9.
Okay. You got kids?
I have 2 stepchildren.
Okay.
Yep, my
okay.
stepson just got married on Saturday.
Okay,
My
okay.
stepdaughter just starting her first year of college.
Oh, so you got
It's been a big year.
Oh, you got and you
and
running.
I'm running.
And
Yeah,
running.
it's a big year.
So, like I said, it's a major. It's a major
Yes,
year.
yes.
Yeah. So tell me, if somebody walked up to you and said, "Hey, Meredith, what you love about Brunswick County? I mean, what about Brunswick County? What about Brunswick County?"
Well, they say you can't come home again, but I don't know why.
Right.
It's always been really accepting to me. I mean, I left for college 4 years. I left for law school. I took a year off before taking the bar. I was in Richmond doing some really boring, tedious legal work. But I mean, the community welcomed me back and was glad to have me. The people are kind and interested in helping others. And
the Brunswick County way.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. That's right. So, but before we get too started, I appreciate you taking your time out to
Absolutely.
come and just
Absolutely.
let the community know the candidates.
Yeah. Well, yeah. People, if they have questions, I want them to have a lot of opportunities to get them answered.
That's right. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Come on, so let's walk and talk.
I try to always be available.
That's right. That's right.
My husband and stepkids could tell you I'm available.
That's
I'm
right.
on the phone all the time.
That's right. Okay, come on, let's walk then. So look, let me ask you. So, what year you graduated?
I graduated in 2002.
Okay.
Turning 39 in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Time flies.
One question I got is like, you know how the community service? You know how, yeah. Like, do you consider like instead of community service like programs for like individuals?
So.
Like, teaming with the community college and different things, instead of a slap on the wrist with that.
Right. So that's interesting because in Brunswick, and I mean the state and national, things are different everywhere you go.
That's right.
But in Brunswick right now, you are generally looking at community service for most frequently traffic offenses. Do I think that somebody going 90 and a 70 needs to be referred to the community college? No, I do not. And a couple of the other programs where community service is common, they're mandated by law.
Right.
Like when you are getting a first offender referral for domestic violence, the community service is mandated. That's not something that can be replaced by a different kind of program, similar to like first offender Schedule 1 or 2 drug cases. There's certain hours of community service that are required. Now, do I support a trade program in lieu of perhaps some minimal period of active incarceration?
Right,
absolutely.
right.
Yes.
Right.
But that also, I'm not big government forcing, a school to do something for free. So this has to
it's levels. It's levels.
Right. This has to make sense, and I think Fonz is probably a good resource for that, a good liaison with, the community college.
So that's Mr. Alfonso Seward Jr.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Fonz. Okay, all right. So we're gonna have to check in with Fonz on that.
Got to check in with Fonz on that.
Okay.
Need to be one white guy for it to be a mod squad.
Try to get one next time. Invite my husband.
Yeah. So Merv, I see on your I was on your website the other day. I see, you're big on treating people with respect.
Yes.
Compassion.
Yes. It's not about, what offends my personal sensibility. It's business, essentially. U.S. has laws, Virginia has laws. We have public ordinances.
Right.
You either violated them or you did not.
Right.
But I'm not there to judge people
That's right.
or belittle people
That's right.
or demean them. It's just, do we have the evidence or not? And if we do, what makes the most sense for punishment, rehabilitation, and successful, reentry if that's the direction it
Right.
goes.
That's right. That's right. And yeah, just at the end of the day, people just want a fair,
They do.
just fair,
They do. Yeah. I mean,
because reality, people are gonna mess up,
yes.
and hey, we're gonna be crying.
And most of the time, they're going to take responsibility for it,
right.
and they don't
Exactly.
need to be kind of beaten into the ground.
Beating the deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. There you go. You just take responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody just work together and make common sense out of it.
Right. And I think it's even more important in a small town to be that way. I mean, we all know each other. We're all related to each other. Right. And it's just not, it's not necessary to make it so personal.
Right.
And again, there are going to be cases where folks don't take responsibility and they've done something terrible, and it's a little different.
Right.
But I think the main thing is, I mean, this includes victims, witnesses, everyone.
Yes, everyone.
It's nobody wants to spend a day in court, much less days and days of their lives. But that's the nature of the system when you're a victim, a witness, a defendant. It's out of your control. You're under subpoena and you're wondering what's going on, and you want to know that the people involved, the people that are there every day, care about you, respect your time, and are trying to get to a good outcome for everyone.
Right. So, Meredith, let me ask you about the cash bail system. It really, sometimes it can be unfair.
It can. Yeah. I mean, economic differences can certainly lead to, a lot of people have plenty of money and a lot of people have very, very little, and your freedom should not be completely dependent on, can your family members come up with an exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah.
I think that can be a problem. I mean, it can be a problem everywhere, but it is not a huge problem here.
Okay.
In my experience, in my practice in Southside Virginia. I mean, I go all over. I go to Prince Edward, Lunenburg, Dinwiddie, Charlotte, Brunswick, Greensville, Mecklenburg. We're not seeing huge bond amounts outside of, like, let's say, murder cases. If you were to get a bond, big numbers, obviously, RICO cases.
Yeah.
But in general, I would say the average bond we see is like $5,000 secured, which is not crazy unreasonable.
Yeah.
And the courts, in my experience, our judges, if you come to them and say, look, this is my client's individual circumstances, $500 is outside of his family's means, will you reconsider?
Okay.
Usually they will. Okay. Almost every time.
Yeah, because, you heard people like their bail might be $200. They might sit a little while, because they don't have the $200.
Right.
Nope.
But
sometimes that can be unfair. So.
It can. But it is on the attorney to then go bring the court, inform the court. They don't know what they don't know.
But then that goes to, you said, to their attorney, they can't afford an attorney, so they had to get a.
Well, they get the public defender.
So
yeah.
So here we go. We still stuck in this thing,
I gave some free legal advice to a lady today whose family member is facing a felony revocation in Brunswick. They hadn't been able to get an answer from the attorney who was appointed, and I said, look, I'll get the answer, and you can make a decision on what y'all need to do from there. I mean, and if I'm the prosecutor, I mean, my first job was prosecuting, and my boss, sometimes I was like, Lord, she's doing her job and the defense attorney's job.
Yeah.
But if it's basic information that people need to be informed, to participate in their own case, I'm happy to do that on both sides, because I think everybody should be fairly represented and fully informed. And
that's true. Yeah. Major. Hey, once again, it's Meredith Smith, man. Something major going on. She's running for Commonwealth Attorney 2023. Hey, I need y'all to register. I need y'all to vote. Get to know your candidates. Hey, just flexing with Dex, man. Flex your vote 2023. Hey, Meredith Smith 2023. Flex your vote. She's a candidate, Commonwealth Attorney, Brunswick County. There's major going on. So check this out. Meredith, like I said, once again, I'm so appreciative that you took your time out to come and just, talk to the community, because a lot of community members that want to vote, but they don't know their candidates.
Right.
And, and you came and came to flex with us, and we appreciate that.
Absolutely.
It's major. That's real
Mhm.
major. So let me ask you something about programming
Mhm.
and diversion.
Mhm.
What's your take?
So
What's your take on that?
there are kind of a lot of different, or at least a couple of different diversions we could be talking about. I think a really important and interesting diversion program that a lot of people don't know about because it really happens outside of court, in the formal setting, is youth diversion.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I have read, there are studies that show that white children get diverted,
Right.
diverted away from a formal court proceeding more often than black children.
Right.
Again, diversion avoids that formal court setting where more formal outcomes like detention are on the table.
Okay.
I was really familiar with the diversion kind of program in Mecklenburg when I was prosecuting. And it's a good thing, I think, to keep kids outside of those formal criminal justice settings because just anecdotally, I saw the same kids in and out of the JDR court system, when I was there from 2012 to 2014. I mean, I've seen a lot of them in
Right.
not great circumstances later in life. And if
have.
a kid was diverted, I never saw them. As the prosecutor, you don't see them.
See, okay.
Juvenile probation, juvenile court services, they say, look, this is not a violent crime. Maybe you shoplifted. Maybe you have like a public disturbance.
Right.
But they say, look, do a little community service, watch some videos, have some understanding of how negative these consequences could be for your life, your future. And if we don't have any problems with you, you're done with our office in, let's say, approximately 90 days.
Okay.
So I'm a huge fan of diverting young people.
Mentorships and different things.
Mentorships, again, kind of information so they understand the consequences without necessarily having to live through the worst of them.
Right, understood. Another question that's really a big question in the community, revocation.
Revocations, big word.
Yeah.
Yep.
If any, are you gonna make any changes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Easy
And
answer.
yeah.
The short answer is easy.
Okay.
The explanation is long and complicated and nuanced and kind of case to case. Are there cases where I would revoke someone? Yes. Will that be the office priority? Absolutely not.
That's right.
The office priority are violent crimes happening in our community, not looking at people 20 years after they committed a crime and seeing, have they had issues? Have they had a minor issue? Have they had a medium issue? Have they had a major issue? We're not going to be flying our police officers to Detroit and California to go get folks
Taxpayers.
to bring them back here
Yes.
when they are settled
Right.
elsewhere and not our taxpayers' burden. A lot of the revocations that happen now are minor in my view, and a lot of other jurisdictions' view. I do not think that we need to be seeking out people and having them serve suspended time from, let's say, 7 or 8 years ago on a misdemeanor drive suspended.
Right.
I don't think that's an appropriate use of resources.
Right.
And I'm speaking from my experience with my clients, people having to drop their lives, stop their lives, come back to Virginia, to Brunswick County on old charges with very minimal time on the table. Just not a good use of resources. Why do we have someone hypothetically come back from Hawaii because they had a drive suspended here 7 years ago and then they got another one or maybe a DUI in another state 5 years later? And there have been some changes to the laws, thankfully, that we're just kind of feeling the full effects of because a lot of these changes kind of came into effect during COVID when, everything was kind of shut down, including the court system. But I'm happy with the changes. We're not going to have these good behavior periods on misdemeanors that go as long as the prosecutor can get them because it's not a good use of resources. I mean, we are luckily not one of the worst crime areas by any means as far as my practice. We're very fortunate in that sense, but we still have plenty of crime that's happening here and now, and that's what we need to be focusing our efforts on. particularly with revocations, my issue, the worst thing has been, I'm not upset. Like if someone commits a violent crime, another hypothetical, you get into a family violence situation, you commit a violent act, let's say a stabbing, had a lot of them over the years, you get some period of incarceration, and the rest is suspended. If you come out and you commit another violent act against a family member, particularly here in Brunswick County,
That's right.
you're gone.
You got
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, you've
Right.
got to. Those are the cases you need to focus on.
That's right.
The initial and the, that would be a case for a revocation. The lesson is not being learned, and they're here in our community and they're hurting people in our community, and you need to use every tool that you have for public safety.
Because it really tears families apart.
It does.
It really does.
It does. These revocations that come, so statutorily, by law, let's say you had a 20-year period of time that you could have gotten for your felony, and you only got, let's say, 2. Generally, the good behavior period is in 20 years. We can review, or the state can review your record for 20 years, and then they have another year grace period to initiate a revocation if it's coming from the prosecutor. I don't think it benefits society as a whole to revoke, to issue a revocation if someone has been of good behavior for years and years and years. It's different. Like, again, if you are really concerned with public safety, they're here, they've committed a new crime, they've got a arguably bad past. It's different. If you're really concerned about public safety, you're not revoking someone 7 years after their last criminal conviction. That's not about safety.
That's right.
And I get it. Like, you can't do everything, but that's just another kind of example of why you should be prioritizing and using your resources wisely, because none of us can do everything.
Very true. Very true. Once again, man, Flexing with Dex, hanging out, Miss Meredith Smith. She's a candidate, Commonwealth Attorney, Brunswick County. She took her time out to come hang out with us, introduce herself to the
in a beautiful location here in Brunswick County.
Yes, beautiful location, great creek. Yes, beautiful location on a beautiful afternoon. So, Meredith, let me ask you about, in America we have a big problem with mental health.
Absolutely.
And me being being incarcerated, I've seen a lot of people like incarcerated by, like, mentally. Can the lines get blurred between like someone doing a crime and just sending them to prison or jail?
Yes,
or
absolutely.
Looking at taking their mental out sometimes?
Absolutely. We luckily there have been, again, some more very recent law changes that we're just starting to see the real outcomes in court since these changes came in, like during COVID, where we can now take mental health evidence into account, even if it doesn't necessarily rise to the level of someone being incompetent, was really high burden to reach. Does that mean that their mental health diagnoses wasn't affecting their behavior at the time that they committed a crime? Absolutely not. And that needs to be taken into account. And that needs, as the resources are available, we need to funnel these folks into different programs, counseling, case managers who can help them, or else it's just a revolving door. Because if it's a mental health issue that's untreated, uncontrolled, medication management is challenging, we've got to do something different other than just sending them to jail and they're released and they're doing the same thing and we're expecting a different outcome.
Right. So let me ask you. No rehabilitation.
Right.
So let me ask you this question about hey, on the show we keep it real reality. You like in law enforcement, you got your bad apples.
Yep. In every field, you got your bad apples.
In every field, you got your bad apples. So how would you approach that? Like, if you are elected, how would you approach like the law enforcement? Dealing with the community. Different in the urban community. To bridge the gap.
I believe people. I believe people. I believe what people tell me. I had a lady call me up, and she told me about a really traumatic experience that she had. She was pulled out of her car at gunpoint. Just no context whatsoever. She's parked on the side of the road with her dog. The doggy needed a break from the interstate.
Okay.
And a state trooper pulls up behind her and pulls her out of the vehicle at gunpoint. Well, this is a little old white lady.
Right.
He's got the wrong car, the wrong person, the wrong everything.
Mm.
And I mean, I took it all the way up the
That's right.
chain.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm married to someone in law enforcement, but
Okay.
you do the wrong thing, you need to take responsibility for it in any side, in any position.
Understood. Understood. Great. Great. Once again, man, flex your vote. 2023 elections coming up real soon. Meredith Smith, she's running for Commonwealth Attorney for Brunswick County, and she took her time out to come hang out and talk to the community. So, Meredith, finally, how do you envision your role as Commonwealth Attorney? Contributing, to the overall improvement of the quality of your community and the criminal justice system.
Well, I think it's a very important role. I mean, I put a lot of thought into, do I really want to do this? I enjoy my job. I'm very successful. I mean, even throughout the pandemic, I've been open for 9 years, solo practitioner, small business owner, and my clients love me. My clients appreciate me, and I know that in that role as Commonwealth's attorney, it's a hard thing for everyone. It's certainly not likely that somebody who's charged is going to appreciate me, and it's usually the hardest time of a victim's life. So it's hard to appreciate anyone because they're suffering.
That's right.
But I think it's hugely important that you have someone who is kind of cognizant of all of the moving parts that go into the criminal justice system, has a lot of patience, a lot of willingness to work, um, a lot of empathy and compassion for everyone involved. Um, but still keeping in mind, the community needs to be safe. Everybody needs a fair, thorough, outcome. But it, it's just a lot
Right.
to to think about and a lot of moving parts. And I know it will be more of an undertaking than what I've been doing, but I think I can do more good as Commonwealth's attorney. And I had to really, really think about that because I do a lot of good on this side, but I will have a lot more access to making sure every case, every person, again, victims, witnesses, defendants, everybody is getting the experience that our criminal justice system should be, fair, just, equal.
That's right. Equal. That's all
Mhm.
we want. Hey, once again, it's Miss Meredith Smith. She's running for Commonwealth Attorney, Brunswick County. So get to know your candidates, man. She came to hang out with us, flexing with Dex. Flex your vote, 2023. You know what it is. Don't ever get it messed up.